and welcome to the show. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to live forever?
Hmm.
I mean, really, like truly never die.
Yeah, it's like one of those questions, right, that just kind of pops into your head every now and then.
Right.
And it's super fascinating and terrifying all at the same time.
Absolutely, because on the one hand, you could see all of history unfold.
Right.
You could experience everything the world has to offer, but
But what would that do to you?
yeah.
Like, would you even still be human after centuries or millennia?
Right, and what would you do with all that time?
Yeah.
Would you just do amass power and become this, like, tyrannical overlord? I mean, it's a question that a lot of fantasy stories grapple with.
Definitely.
And the one we are diving into today does it in a really unique way.
Okay.
So the book we read is called The Witch Who Trades with Death.
The Witch Who Trades with Death.
It's by C.M. Alonji, and of course you can find a link to it down in the description.
Yeah, always got to plug the source material, right?
Absolutely. Always got to give credit where credit is due. So this story takes us deep into a world where immortality isn't just a myth, it's a harsh reality ruled by this guy, Emperor Yamueto.
Emperor Yamueto, okay.
He's been in power for over 3 centuries.
Wow.
And he looks as young today as he did on the day he took the throne.
Okay, so right off the bat, you're dealing with some serious power dynamics here.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
An emperor who can't be overthrown by time.
Right.
That's some next level control right there.
And that's where the witch comes in, right? So we have Khana, who's this young woman forced to serve in Yamueto's court.
Okay.
But she has this incredible secret. She can absorb and manipulate this life force called IG.
IG, all right, I'm intrigued.
Right? It's like this energy that flows through everything, and she can draw it from living things.
Maybe she's like a healer or something?
It's more complicated than that.
Okay.
She can use it to heal, but she can also use it to do some pretty devastating things.
Ah, so it's like a double-edged sword then.
Exactly. And that makes her incredibly dangerous in the eyes of the Emperor because she represents a power he can't control.
I see. So there's this tension right from the start.
Absolutely. Because on the one hand, Khana is trapped in this gildy cage, forced to use her powers to serve this tyrant.
Right.
But on the other hand, she has the potential to be so much more, to maybe even challenge the Emperor's power.
Wow, that's a lot to unpack.
Oh, there's a ton to unpack. Trust me. We've got rebellion, we've got romance.
Oh, intrigue.
Oh, tons of intrigue. So let's start at the beginning with Emperor Yamueto and his empire, because to understand Khana's story, you really have to understand the world she's trapped in.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So Yamueto, like I said, he's been emperor for over 300 years.
300 years?
He's immortal. Nobody knows how, but what they do know is that he's ruthless.
Okay.
Like even hinting that you think he might be mortal can get you executed.
Wow, so not a lot of freedom of speech in this empire.
Not even a little bit. And it's not just words either. He has these enforcers, these like creatures called night creatures.
Okay, night creatures, so is this like a vampire thing?
Not quite vampires. They're more like, I don't know, twisted amalgamations of different creatures.
Huh.
They're super creepy and powerful and absolutely loyal to the Emperor. And here's the really messed up part. They're created using witches.
Oh, wow, so the witches aren't just serving in the court, they're being used to make these weapons.
Exactly, and it's not like they have a choice.
Right.
Like every witch in the Empire is required to serve the Emperor in some way.
Man, that's heavy.
Oh, it's super dark. And then you have Khana right in the middle of all of this.
So how does she end up in the emperor's court?
So she's actually from this faraway land, and when she was a kid, she accidentally revealed her powers. She was just playing around with a cactus and drew the Aji out of it.
Wait, she can draw Aji out of a cactus?
Yeah, like I said, it flows through everything.
Okay, I guess I'm still wrapping my head around this whole Aji thing.
No, it's definitely a lot to take in.
But so she accidentally reveals her powers, and then what?
Well, it was bad news for her handmaiden, Guma.
Oh, no.
She tried to protect Khana, and she ended up being executed.
That's awful.
It is. And then Khana was taken into the Emperor.
So she's basically been a prisoner this whole time.
Pretty much. She's been forced to use her powers for the Emperor, to heal him, to help create those night creatures, even to, well...
To what?
To breed.
Oh, wow, they're using her to create more witches.
Exactly. They want to control the source of her power, make sure they have a steady supply of witches to serve them.
That's so messed up.
It is. It's a really disturbing system. And Khana sees it all. The cruelty, the casual disregard for life.
So she's not just a pawn in this game. She's also a witness to the horrors of the empire.
Exactly. And that's what starts to fuel her rebellion.
Okay, so how does she escape?
It all starts with the death of Kokatl.
Kokatl.
He was one of the Emperor's, I don't know, advisors, enforcers.
Someone high up, it sounds like.
Definitely. He was a real piece of work, super cruel, even by the standards of the Empire. And when he dies, the Emperor is devastated.
Really? I would have thought the emperor would be pretty detached, given how long he's lived and all.
You'd think so, right? But no, he's like desperate to bring Kokatl back. He even tries to make a deal with death.
Hold on, death like the Grim Reaper?
Yeah, like the personification of death. Apparently, in this world, you can trade memories with death in exchange for things.
Wait, that's a thing, trading memories?
Yeah, it's kind of a big deal in this world. But anyway, Yamueto tries to trade with death to bring Kokatl back, but it doesn't work.
So even the Emperor can't cheat death?
Not this time. And Khana overhears all of this, and it gives her an idea.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Yeah, so she decides to escape.
So she makes a deal with death, too.
She does. She trades the memory of the day she left her homeland for safe passage out of the Empire.
Wow, so she's literally giving up a piece of herself to get away.
Exactly. And from there, it's this epic journey. She travels through Kloffer, crosses these dangerous mountains called the Simikil Mountains, and ends up in Divajin, which is like this whole other country that's trying to resist the Empire.
Okay, so she's gone from the heart of the Empire to the front lines of the rebellion.
Exactly. And it's in Divajin that she meets a whole cast of characters who become like her new family.
Oh, so she finds a sense of belonging after all that time alone.
She does. She ends up in this town called Bahuda.
Pahuda.
Yeah, and she starts working at an inn run by this couple, Heinoli and her husband.
Okay, so she's trying to lay low, build a new life.
Yeah, at first. But then the Empire starts to encroach on Divajin, and the men of Bahuda are forced to join the militia to defend their homes.
So she's pulled back into the conflict.
She is, and she ends up joining the militia too, along with this guy named Haz, who she's become close with.
Oh, so there's a romance brewing.
Maybe. It's definitely complicated.
I bet. But so she joins the militia. What's that like for her?
It's tough, obviously.
Right.
But it's also where she really starts to come into her own. She's part of this unit called the Poison Dart Frogs.
Poison dart frogs. That's an intense name.
Right, and they're all like misfits, people who don't really fit in anywhere else.
So she's finally found her people?
She has. They train together, they fight together, they go through all this crazy stuff together.
Like what kind of stuff?
Well, there's this thing called glass diving, which is basically this incredibly dangerous ritual.
Okay, glass diving. That sounds ominous.
Yeah, we don't know exactly what it is, but it's clearly a test of both physical and mental strength.
Interesting.
And then there's the line game, which is all about trust and teamwork.
Ah, so they're really building these bonds of trust and camaraderie.
Absolutely, and it's all leading up to this final confrontation with the Empire.
Okay, so the Empire reaches Pahuda.
They do, and it's a huge battle. Khana and her unit are right in the thick of it, fighting for everything they hold dear. And it's during this battle that we see the true cost of Khana's power.
What do you mean?
Well, remember how she can trade memories with death?
Yeah.
It turns out that those memories, they fuel her power. The more memories she trades, the stronger she becomes.
Whoa, so there's like a price to pay for her power.
A huge price. And it's not just her own memories she can trade. Others can willingly offer their memories to her as well to give her the strength she needs.
So it's like a shared sacrifice.
It is, and it's a really powerful moment in the book because Haz, the guy she's fallen for, he offers her his memories.
Oh, wow.
He knows the risks, but he's willing to do it to protect her, to protect Pakuda.
That's incredibly selfless.
It is, and it gives Khana the power she needs to finally face the Emperor.
Okay, so the showdown we've been waiting for.
It's epic, and it's heartbreaking because there are losses on both sides.
Right, because even though they're fighting against this tyrant, war is never clean.
Absolutely, but in the end, Khana defeats Yamueto.
Wow, so the immortal emperor finally falls.
He does, and it's the start of a new era for Pahuda, for Divajin, for the entire world, really.
So what happens to Khana? Does she stay in Pahuda?
She does. She's found a home there, a family, and she uses her powers to heal, to rebuild.
So it's a happy ending, in a way.
I think so. It's definitely bittersweet, but there's hope for the future.
And it all started with this one witch who dared to defy an empire.
It did. It's a story about power, about sacrifice, about the enduring strength of the human spirit.
And about finding your people even in the darkest of times.
Exactly. It's a story that really makes you think about what you would be willing to give up for what you believe in.
It does. You know, it's funny, you started this conversation wondering about what it would be like to live forever.
Yeah, we did.
And this book shows us that maybe it's not the length of your life that matters, but what you do with it.
That's a great point.
Yeah, like how you connect with others, how you fight for what's right, how you make a difference in the world.
It's a powerful message.
It is, and it's something we can all take with us, even if we don't have magic powers or immortal emperors to deal with.
Absolutely. And that's what we love about these deep dives. They take us to these fantastical world, but they always leave us with something real, something to think about long after we finish the book.
I completely agree.
So thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into The Witch Who Trades with Death.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
It really has, and we would love to hear your thoughts. What resonated with you the most? Did any particular moment stand out? Let us know in the comments below.
Yeah, let's keep this conversation going.
Absolutely. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure you like and subscribe for more explorations of fascinating worlds and thought-provoking stories.
We'll see you next time.
Until then, keep reading.